That's a hard act to follow. Thank you, Alana. Haishka. Okay, so I'm Winona Waldron. I'm the president of the Greater Victoria Teachers Association. On April 13th, Kim Morris, Secretary-Treasurer of the Greater Victoria School District, proposed a budget that was profoundly shocking to the school community, claiming a $7 million deficit. The Board of Trustees voted to put this budget up for consideration with a final vote on Monday, this Monday, May 17th. The budget eliminates or reduces programming, including reading recovery, food programs, gifted programming, counseling time, educational assistance, school clerical staff, choir, strings, and band programs, and many more. 1 month into this process, we are wondering how accurate that deficit projection is. And if there is indeed a budget shortfall, how does the district see this as a problem, or do they see it as an opportunity? The district has told us that the $7 million shortfall has been created by both falling revenues and a structural deficit. This structural deficit refers to a long-standing and common school board practice of applying funds unspent at year-end to next year's staffing and programming. Our district is convinced that surplus deficit budgeting must end now. This change leaves us in a one-year crunch as funding is accounted for at the other end of the school year. School revenues rely on a per-student funding model. The number of students enrolled determines how much money each district receives. SD 61 has a long-standing practice of underestimating enrollment revenue. Enrollment for the 21-22 school year has been projected to fall 350 students below pre-pandemic levels, a difference of about 2.7 million. It is hard to understand the justification for this projection when all other predictors indicate a return to more normalcy once vaccinations are widespread. Students who left our schools for distance learning programs will return. In fact, the distance programs where they enrolled are now laying off staff in anticipation of that return. Victoria schools have also relied on fees generated by the International Student Program to fund educational programming. This revenue is projected to be down 25% from pre-pandemic enrollment. Whether or not we agree philosophically with the practice of running a business off the side of public education, the Education Ministry has allowed this practice to flourish. If this projection is accurate, districts need to hear from the government that they will be supported through this downturn, as other sectors have, so our students will not suffer. The opportunity created by this budget is clear. When revenue rebounds, even as early as September, the money will be reallocated, but it will be too late to preserve programming. Moving forward, the money can be invested in new directions and without consultation. There has been much talk of reinvestment in alignment with a strategic plan. However, nothing in this budget reinvests in supports for students. For now, all we see is cuts. In a particularly illuminating and widely criticized presentation at the May 10th Board Committee meeting, the Secretary-Treasurer attempted to make the case that cutting music would lead to better success for Indigenous students. Using Indigenous students to justify cuts to value programs was reprehensible. Nothing in this budget shows an investment in our Indigenous children. Nothing has been presented that shows how cutting music will benefit Indigenous children. No data has been produced that shows choir, strings, and band have a negative impact on Indigenous student success. Suggesting that Indigenous students do not benefit from the current programming reduces Indigenous youth to stereotypes and suggests that they should be defined by their deficits and not their strengths. All students deserve academic and mental health supports, and they also deserve music. Although the district's senior management seems to have no interest in finding a solution to the current budget shortfall, passing the budget is ultimately not up to them. The final decision will be made by our Board of Trustees on May 17th. These are the people whose mandate it is, and I quote, to engage their communities in building and maintaining a school system that reflects local priorities, values, and expectations. Boards are accountable to the people they serve. For the last month, Victoria school trustees have heard loud and clear from the families they serve. These proposed cuts are universally opposed by the community. Thousands have sent letters and engaged in the consultation process. A school budget is ultimately an expression of value and vision. The community will be watching to learn where our trustees stand, and they'll vote.